Hey friends, it's Betsy from the blog flourishingplace.com, and in today's video we are talking about the key to a clean house. One simple house cleaning tip that will transform your home. Like I mentioned, my name is Betsy. I have a wonderful husband and two small kiddos, and life is busy around our house. We have a baby and a toddler, and so keeping the house clean and honestly finding time to keep the house clean can be a real challenge. But I have found there is one thing in particular that has helped me more than anything to feel like I can stay on top of keeping our house clean. If you're interested, I have a full blog post for this linked up in the description box below, so you can feel free to check that out if you want. I also have my free guide, 5 simple steps to decluttering any area in your home. If that is something you're interested in as well, you can find that in the description box below. So, in my humble opinion, what is the key to a clean house? Now, everybody will have all kinds of different opinions for what they think the key is, but in my experience, the key to a clean house is staying on top of decluttering. Now, some of you, when you hear that, you're gonna click away from this video and say, oh, decluttering, like, yeah, I know. Or you're gonna feel discouraged because you feel like you've got a lot of clutter that you need to deal with, but you're not sure where to begin. And so it can feel really overwhelming to be like, well, the key to a clean house is decluttering. Great, that's just not where I'm at right now. I want to explain to you a few reasons why I say decluttering is the key to a clean house and why this one simple house cleaning tip will transform your home. And that is simply because, number one, when you declutter, your house already looks more clean. And this is just obvious, right? A decluttered home where the surfaces are cleared off and where things aren't piled up, it looks clean, even if you haven't had time to vacuum, even if you haven't had time to dust or whatnot. A house that is decluttered just looks more clean automatically. The second reason why I believe decluttering is the key to a clean house is because when your house is decluttered and the surfaces are clear, the floor is clear, and you have a lot of space, cleaning the house, vacuuming, mopping, dusting, all of that, is way easier to do. Again, this feels really obvious, but so often we let clutter build up and then we feel just frustrated that the house isn't clean and there's clutter and then we get paralyzed and we're not sure what to do next. So those are the reasons why I would consider decluttering the key to a clean house. It's because, number one, if you declutter, your house automatically looks cleaner, even if it's not technically clean. And number two, decluttering your home makes those basic cleaning tasks easier. So now that I've shared my opinion on what I believe is the key to a clean house, I just want to share a few simple tips for decluttering. This is an overwhelming process. If you stay on top of decluttering and it's something that you do regularly, it may not feel like such a big deal. If it's something that you've procrastinated on for a while, then it can feel a lot more overwhelming. And rest assured, I've been in both boats. I've been in the boat where I've been keeping on top of it really well and I am decluttering regularly, and then I've also been in the boat where I have let things pile up and things begin to get a little bit out of control. And so I know what both feel like, and I much prefer to be in the first boat where I'm keeping on top of it regularly, but that's not always the case because life just happens and sometimes things get crazy. So a couple ideas. I want to speak specifically to you if you are feeling like you have let decluttering get away from you a little bit, you're feeling overwhelmed and like it's a little bit out of control, and some tips to feel like you can knock out the clutter fast and get things back to a manageable level. So you kind of have two methods that you can go for. One is the take a big chunk of time and do a decluttering marathon and just go through stuff and knock out a ton of clutter and get it kind of all done in one fell swoop. And then the second option, kind of the second method, is to set a timer each day, take 10 or 15 minutes each day, work on one surface, work on one room, that type of idea. And both of these methods work great. Obviously, the one where you set the timer and you're doing it kind of each day takes a little bit longer. You know, you're not getting it knocked out in one day or one weekend. But here's the benefit to that method, and just hear me out on this because it does take longer, but the value in that method is that you are setting yourself up with a habit to declutter regularly. So you're doing 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, and for you, that habit is getting built up of decluttering regularly. And so when you've kind of gotten things back to a manageable level, it doesn't feel strange to keep doing that. The downside when you do a marathon declutter, and these can be really fun, I'll say, I've done some before, and they can be really enjoyable because you feel like you're knocking out a lot fast and it's very rewarding. But the one downside to that is it is not building a habit. It's not setting a habit. It's kind of that whole idea of I'm going to go on a crash diet and I'm going to lose, 10 pounds because I have to lose it really fast, for this event or whatever. And then as soon as that week is done, as soon as the event is over, it's like, okay, whatever. As compared to someone who wants to lose weight and they kind of gradually add in vegetables, gradually cut out sugar, just do kind of a little bit at a time. And then those habits stick because they're very small and very sustainable. I honestly think this can apply to habits around our home, and I think it applies to decluttering as well. I know it definitely does for me. So I follow the Clean Mama cleaning routine, and I've done another video about that, and I'll link it up in the description box below. I love her cleaning routine. It is so easy, adapts to your lifestyle. It's just, it's been wonderful for our home. But she sets her cleaning routine up with just 5 daily tasks, and one of the daily tasks that she has is decluttering. And there's a reason for that. It doesn't take much time every day at all, but you're just looking around your house going, what needs to go? And it's a very stress-free way to keep on top of clutter. I have found that little chunk of time each day to be the most useful for me in terms of staying on top of clutter. The other reason I love this method, and I will just be honest with you, it's because of the season of life that I'm in. Our kids are small, and I often don't have huge stretches of time to have the kids be watched, and for me to be hands-free and to be working around the house and decluttering. And it's true that there's some things that I can get done while the kids are awake, but if you have small kids or have had small kids, you know that oftentimes they are needy and demanding a lot of attention, and it can be hard to accomplish some meaningful tasks while they are awake. So using this simple house cleaning tip of decluttering regularly, I'll just kind of take you through in our house what it looks like for me on a daily basis, what decluttering looks like. Basically, it looks like kind of checking over the main surfaces in the house. I'm talking about kitchen counters, the top of our dining room hutch, bathroom counter, coffee table. The main ones for us are kitchen counters and dining room hutch. And I'm looking at those and picking up things that either need to get put away and need to have a home, or something that I am delaying a decision on and need to just figure out if I want to keep it or toss it. Another area that I constantly need to keep working on is the top of the dryer in my laundry area. I think I've talked about this before, but in our laundry area, that is a place that becomes a catch-all for stuff where I will kind of put it out in the garage and put it there on top of the dryer, and it's kind of away from the main part of the house, away from the kitchen counters, and so I don't really feel like I need to deal with it because it's out of sight, out of mind, but that can get out of control. And so just kind of looking over that top part of the dryer and seeing, is there anything that I can get rid of, anything that I can pass along, anything that needs to be thrown away, honestly. And this does not take a long time, and often this can be done when I'm changing the laundry, just when I'm going out and moving stuff from the washer to the dryer, or when I'm hanging stuff. I'm already out there anyway. I will say this too, oftentimes clutter is not necessarily things that need to be tossed or things that need to be donated. Sometimes it is just stuff that does not have a home, or stuff that is out for a particular reason because you're working on a project or you're in the middle of something and there it sits and you meant to get back to that, but now it's a week later and it's still sitting there. We have all been there. I have definitely been there. And so the best way I have found to deal with those kinds of things is if you find something, you recognize that it's homeless, find it a home right then. And if it doesn't have a home and you need to evaluate whether or not to keep it, that's a whole nother question. But if it's something that you know you're keeping and it's just homeless, find it a home right then. Otherwise, you're gonna go through that thing, and I have done this so many times, where you take the clutter and you shuffle it to the next spot. And it goes from the dining room hutch to the kitchen counter, it goes from the kitchen counter to the top of the dryer, and you just don't quite know what to do with that, but you don't have time to deal with it right now. Take that little chunk of time, that little dedicated chunk of time that you're doing each day, that 10 or 15 minutes, to find that thing a home. And so next time it's out, you know exactly where it goes. You can put it away quickly. For projects that you have out, this is a tough one because you know you're coming back to it, but you haven't been able to get back to it as quickly as you thought, and it's not easy to just fold it up and put it away. But for myself, I would say as much as I am able, I either put it in a spot that's out of the way if I absolutely cannot put it away, so I'm not tripping over it or, you know, trying to work around it all the time. But if it is something that in any way can be put into a box or can be folded up and put in a notebook or something like that, I do go ahead and put it away like that. Even if I know I'm gonna try to get it out again in the next day or the next 2 days or whatever. Stuff happens and it could be longer, number one. And then number two, it is worth it to me to have the mental ease and the mental clarity that comes from having cleared off counter space and cleared off surfaces in the house, period. I have found for myself, and again, I can't speak for everyone, but just for me, I have found that when my kitchen counters are cleared off, when the dining room hutch is cleared off, when I walk out to do laundry and the dryer is cleared off, my brain just kind of relaxes. And I think a lot of that has to do with when we leave out clutter, it's visual reminders and visual prompts of all the stuff that we are trying to get done. And my brain just goes on overload. I think, okay, I don't have time to do all but I see 10 things here that are in process that I need to do. And so the best thing that I have found to do as much as possible to put those things away and to get them out of sight. And if it's something that I'm worried that will fall between the cracks or that I need to remember, I go ahead and transfer that onto a to-do list that I know I am checking regularly. I bullet journal and I have a blog post all about that I can link below. But I have a to-do list in that bullet journal that I keep to regularly. And so if there is something that needs to be put away out of sight and I want to make sure that I don't forget it, has a deadline or whatever, I just go ahead and transfer that to my to-do list. That way I'm working off the to-do list and I'm not working off a pile of stuff on my kitchen counter or a pile of stuff on my dining room hutch, because that is just super stressful and it always feels paralyzing. So we've been talking about the key to a clean house, which in my opinion is decluttering. There's a couple different methods for how to declutter. If you have gotten a little behind and you are feeling overwhelmed and you've got a lot of clutter to deal with, you definitely can do a marathon decluttering session where you just try to knock everything out in one fell swoop over a weekend. Nothing wrong with that. Or this is just honestly one of my best simple house cleaning tips, and that is to just take 10 or 15 minutes a day and knock out the clutter a little bit at a time. It's great because it's not too overwhelming. If you don't have a lot of time to work with, it'll fit into your schedule. And then secondly, it's just building that habit day upon day upon day of dealing with clutter just a little bit at a time. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to leave a comment below if you have a different idea for what is the key to a clean house. And yes, I'm well aware that there's many keys to a clean house, more than just this one, but this one has been so essential for me in feeling like our house is clean and somewhat put together. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I make videos on this channel all about decluttering, organizing, and creating beauty in your home on a budget, and I will see you next time. Bye.